Okay, so quick note, this is the first video for the Film Empire channel that I've edited in Hitfilm, so there are some new motion graphics around here. But for today I have a Hitfilm Q&A planned, so let's start right after the intro. Okay, so now I went to the last 3 videos on the Hitfilm channel and I picked out some really good questions that were left there in the comments, and I'm going to answer them in this video, so I think we should jump right in with the first question. Now the first question comes from Daisy Deja Vu, if I pronounced that correctly. Hello there, can you make a video on how to remove the background from a video which was not shot with a green or blue screen or with a single color in the background? If someone shot a video on a roadside or at home with multiple things coming in the background, how can we remove that background and put some related image there? Now that's actually a really good question. Sometimes you are not able to shoot in front of a green screen or blue screen, and then you have to do something which is called rotoscoping. Now rotoscoping is basically masking out a person from a scene. It's done quite often in the major blockbusters that you see if they're not able to shoot in front of a green or blue screen. So you basically will have to mask out your subject using keyframes as well. So then if an actor is in one position, make a keyframe, and when it's in the other position, make a keyframe, and then Hitfilm itself will make the keyframes that go in between those to make a smooth transition. Now you can of course adjust some of those positions if needed, so I hope that answers your question. The second question is from Frenzy Commander. I recently started using Hitfilm as my YouTube video editor, and I have a question. Can you guys add the ability to place text into your videos? Now this is of course already possible, and the way to do that while you're in the editing screen is to make a new composite shot and in there add your text layer with the text, and then you can take the composite shot and put it onto your editing timeline, and that's how to add text into Hitfilm. Third question, that's Tony G. You explained color grading, color, and effects, and as always the tutorial steps are clear. Now this refers to the video the comment was left on. So silly question time. When visualizing your end scene, how do you know which effects will get you there? I appreciate there is testing, trial and error, practice and experience, but I am still sure I am missing something because I would never be able to get where you get without you telling me. Does that make sense? Yes, that does make sense, and it's actually something that happened to me a lot as well in the beginning, because when you have to do an effect in the beginning, you're not always sure which steps will get you to the end product that you want to make. So what I'd suggest is just go through the effects panel and just try out all of those effects that are there. So some color grading, color correcting things, maybe under the generate tab and under the keying tab. So just figure out what those steps do, and then you are able to think of what you'll need to reach the end goal that you want to make. Very good question, by the way. The fourth question comes from Scorper. Hitfilm, can you make a video about how to make everything freeze? Now this is actually really simple. There is the freeze frame effect, or I think it's export frame, and then you go to the top right of the editing layout, and then you click on the drop down box, as you can see, and click export frame. Now this will save the frame as a PNG file, so you can then just edit on top of your timeline, and you are good to go. You have a still frame out of your footage. Question 5 comes from Gerator. Okay, so I just started using Hitfilm for Express, but when I export the finished project, I get an HFP file. I want to import my file to YouTube, and since it's impossible to change to MP4 with an HFP file, I'm getting really frustrated. Any help with that is appreciated. Now what you did is actually save your project file. HFP is the Hitfilm project file, and that's not actually your exported file. So instead of doing Ctrl S or clicking save, you have to add it onto the exporting tab and then export it from there. I made a tutorial about that, the link is in the description. Very good question. Question 6 comes from Indigo Santana. How do you crop a video, like literally cut a video in half? Now this is very simple. This can be done in a composite shot. So you want to make your footage into a composite shot and then just add a mask to cut out the part of your video that you want to cut out with your mask. You can also invert the mask so that the other video is shown instead of the first part, if that makes sense. So I hope that answers your question. Question 7 comes from Render HD. Please help. How do I link effects that I make in Hitfilm Express with a moving camera so that the effect is moving like everything else in the video? And yes, I can use trackers, but when the effect has to rotate horizontally, I don't know how to do that. Now, what Render HD is referring to is basically a 3D track. Now, for that you have to use Hitfilm Pro or the Mocha plugin for Hitfilm Express, which I think is about $50. And there you can do a camera solve and then add your effects onto your video, and they will move with the camera movement. But then again, you'll need Hitfilm Pro or the Mocha plugin for Hitfilm Express. So unfortunately, it's not free. Question 8 is, how do you edit out mouse and keyboard sounds? Please make a video of it. Now, editing out your keyboard and mouse sounds is actually quite a complicated thing to do. The best thing is not to have your microphone on the table when you're typing, or maybe use an external sort of boom pole that you can use as standard for your microphone. Or better, have something like the Zoom H1 or an external recorder with a lavalier mic that goes onto your shirt. So that's easier than having to take out all of these sounds in post-production. Very good question. And the last and 9th question comes from Ellen Britton. I'm having a slight problem with slow motion in Hitfilm Express. I record at 30 frames per second, and if I slow down footage down to less than 50% for extreme slow motion, the image becomes very jumpy. Any suggestions what I can do apart from buying Hitfilm Pro, which I will do at some point? Now, unfortunately, Hitfilm Pro is not going to help you with that problem. You said that you were recording on 30 frames per second, and nowadays that is about the standard for all of the videos. So if you want to slow 30 frames per second down to 50%, that would leave you with 15 frames per second, which is very jumpy. Now, I think After Effects or Premiere now has a feature that will recreate the dropped frames in between when you slow down footage, but that is not in Hitfilm Express. So what you have to do to make your footage slow motion is record with a higher frame rate, like 50 or 60 frames per second, and then you can slow it down 50% without getting too much jittery effects in there. So those were 9 very good questions. I hope I answered them correctly. Now, if you have more questions that weren't answered in this video, leave them in the comments section below and I will try and answer them. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Hey, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Now like and subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're here, take the time to check out these 2 videos. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time with a new video. Bye!